Hi folks, let's take a stroll through the world Democrats built. A place where illegal aliens get sympathy, ICE gets slandered, and the only thing safer than a criminal record is a blue check mark. See, in LA, you can drop millions on a mansion, lock it down like Fort Knox, and still get looted like you're living in a third world hellhole. But don't worry, our mayor, Karen Bass, is busy tweeting about the real crisis, ICE doing its job. And by the way, Nancy Pelosi is back too for some random reason, looking disassociated, claiming Biden's a presidential powerhouse and Trump's the crazy one. By the way, that's not spin, that's just straight up clinical delusion. So buckle up, folks, because in today's clips, we're taking a crash course in blue state breakdown, backward priorities, broken cities, and a political class too smug to notice the mess they made. Or even care.
Any second thoughts about what happened last summer or with
I don't have any second thoughts, but I do have a second thought about the Republicans. If they want to measure mental acuity or sanity, they ought to look to their own president. Because the president of the United States, who was asked one question and answers by saying President Obama is guilty of treason, he is not of sane mind.
He's actually very sane.
No, I have no second thoughts. I think that he was a great president. He accomplished remarkable things.
Can't even lie anymore.
In a 2-year period where we had the majority, he had accomplishments that were seen in the same light as LBJ and Franklin Roosevelt.
Name one.
As long a tenure as they did, but he had the quality
Name one.
of legislation, make a difference in people's lives.
Name one.
It's unfortunate that it went down this path, but I think that history will treat him well because he did great things.
Did he? Name one thing.
Super patriot, loved America.
You still got time.
Honored our Constitution. A big
one
contrast
thing
to what we have now.
Is Nancy doing okay? She looks like she just VO2 maxed sitting down for this interview, but let's set the visual aside and focus on the substance here, folks, because what Pelosi just said is revealing, not just in its absurdity, but in what it says about the current state of Democrat thinking. Calling Trump not sane of mind while declaring Biden was one of the greatest presidents isn't just political spin. It's a window into a worldview where results no longer matter. Only allegiance. This is what happens when an entire political class is shielded from accountability by media, academia, and bureaucratic institutions that reinforce their mythology. Biden's presidency was marked by inflation, open borders, international embarrassment, lawlessness, urban decay, just to name a few different things. We're not even talking about Afghanistan and the Chinese balloons. But because he served the Democrat narrative, because he signed the right slogans and deferred to the experts, that alone earns him FDR status. And by the way, I hope you noticed how Pelosi was incapable of providing a single accomplishment of Biden's that was noteworthy. No, she had nothing. It was all just vibes and revisionism. Now, it goes without saying that this isn't just about Biden or Trump. It's about a Democrat elite so cocooned in its own righteousness, so allergic to self-reflection and change that it can't distinguish delusion from leadership. And they're not even trying to convince you anymore. They're just trying to outlast you at this point. Just trying to make it to the next breath without bursting a coronary, it seems. Anyway, speaking of Democrat governance, let's check on LA. Let's see how that's going. 60-something years of authoritarian rule should be going good, right?
We're taking a look at Yoshinobu Yamamoto's, the famous pitcher for the Dodgers house. Now, apparently, we're getting this information through TMZ Sports, saying that around 5 a.m. this morning, 3 people broke some windows and actually made entry into the home.
Wow.
Now, by the time LAPD made their way out here, there was a 911 call. They said that the suspects had already fled, but they have them on camera, so this is definitely was a break-in. Nothing was taken. That's what we understand right now. The Dodger pitcher, apparently they're in the Cincinnati area right now doing their good work out there, but you can see that home out here. We did take a look around. If there were some broken windows, they've already been replaced, and I guess this all happened right around 5 a.m. this morning. Right now, though, there are some people that are living in this house, and apparently they were the ones that made the 911 call, also ran those burglars off, whatever that was going on there. No injuries to anybody. LAPD definitely still investigating.
Democrats have managed to create a city so lawless that no amount of wealth, visibility, or private security can shield you from the chaos they unleashed. When criminals feel bold enough to break into a celebrity athlete's multi-million-dollar mansion in the Hollywood Hills, knowing there are cameras, alarms, and possibly even armed residents, It's not just a crime, it's a cultural signal. It tells us we've passed the point where deterrence matters, because in places like Gavin Newsom's California and Karen Bass's Los Angeles, there are no consequences. These aren't crimes of desperation, by the way. They're crimes of entitlement, bred in a system where prosecutors won't prosecute and police are politically shackled by our Democrat leaders. It's not a bug, by the way. It's a byproduct of years of soft-on-crime ideology, Marxist activists in the DA's office, and a media class that rebrands violent theft as inequality. All you got to do is watch KTLA to see that message. And it's never been clearer. If you're successful, you're fair game. This isn't just about one break-in, by the way. It's about the erosion of basic order in cities run by people more interested in virtue signaling than actually protecting their citizens. And in case you're wondering whether I'm just laying out hypotheticals or just being conspiratorial about the Democrat agenda, you don't have to worry, folks. They're saying it out loud and proud, like our Mayor Karen Bass, who's going on quite literally every single podcast on existence to declare how illegal aliens matter more to her than actual Angelinos, citizens who pay taxes in this city.
Let me tell you what I'm worried about now. The ICE raids. People who have been detained, you're talking about taking an income away from a household.
God, shut up.
So I've talked to some of the people who lost their spouses, their spouses were detained or whatever, and they're not sure how they're going to make the rent.
Right.
So we could have a whole new influx of homeless people because of policies like ICE. And what has happened over the years is politicians, and see, I can say that because I am one, politicians who pass policies don't think of the unintended consequences.
Right.
And some of those policies put people on the street.
To quote border czar Tom Homan, the best solution for that is to just deport families together. Then you won't have to worry about separating incomes. But let's be clear for a second, folks. Karen isn't confused. She's just committed. This is a woman trained by the Venceremos Brigade, mentored under Castro's regime. Yes, Cuban communism. She has spent her entire political career treating American law as a problem and foreign nationals as the priority. Her claim that ICE raids could create homelessness is a perfect example of how Democrats invert cause and effect. It's not mass illegal migration that's destabilizing housing markets or overwhelming social services. It's the act of enforcing the law that's suddenly the threat. This logic only makes sense inside a worldview where the concept of citizenship is completely obsolete. It's dissolved. Sovereignty is bigotry in that idea of America, and consequences only apply to the taxpayer, the people funding this whole system. So what we're seeing here isn't even a policy debate. It's a sustained ideological project to erase borders, blur law and compassion, and replace accountability with emotional blackmail in the clearest form. And it works. Because no one in the media calls it for what it is. Subversion masquerading as social justice. Marxism sold wholesale on every level. And since we're on the topic of failed Democrat communists, Kamala Harris announced yesterday that she will not be running for the office of governor of California, saying in a statement on X, "Over the past 6 months, I've spent time reflecting on this moment in our nation's history and the best way for me to continue fighting for the American people and advancing the values and ideals I hold dear." Okay, well, let's pause right there because the comedy literally writes itself. Kamala's been reflecting for 6 months. That's about 5 months and 29 days longer than she usually reflects on anything. What was she, just mulling it over a glass of vodka? And as for fighting for the American people, this is the same woman who compared ICE agents to the KKK, bailed out violent rioters during the summer of 2020, and couldn't name a single success from her time as border czar except avoiding the actual border. The only thing she's advanced are gas prices, border crossings, and her own cringy-worthy word salads. Anyway, she continues saying, "I am a devout public servant, and from the earliest days of my career, I have believed that the best way I could make a difference in people's lives and fight for a better future was to improve the system from within. And it has been a profound honor to do that work and serve the people of California and our nation as a prosecutor, attorney general, United States senator, and vice president." Translation, she's held a bunch of titles and still hasn't really figured out how to connect with normal human beings. The irony here is rich, folks. She claims she spent her life improving the system from within, but every institution she's ever touched has only gotten worse. Crime skyrocketed on her watch. Prosecutions became straight up political, and her VP tenure was defined by nervous laughter and literal disappearing acts. If this is what improvement looks like, I'd hate to see her idea of failure. Anyway, she continues saying, in recent months, I have given serious thought to asking the people of California for the privilege to serve as their governor. I love this state, its people, and its promise. It is my home. After deep reflection, I've decided that I will not run for governor in this election. Sorry, folks, I can't help but laugh. She didn't step aside out of love for California. She saw the polling, okay? She knows she has zero chance, even in a deep blue state like California. Her approval numbers hover just above, please resign. This isn't a graceful exit. It's a tactical retreat, okay? If we've ever seen one, it's an ugly one too. She's radioactive even within the Democrat establishment. And everyone knows this. What we're witnessing here isn't selflessness, it's just pure self-preservation so that she can hopefully someday return to public life with a shred of dignity. And look, all disrespect intended, I hope that never happens. Anyway, maintaining her tradition of not knowing when to stop, she continues saying, I have extraordinary admiration and respect for those who dedicate their lives to public service to their communities and to the nation. At this time, we must recognize that our politics, our government, and our institutions have too often failed the American people, culminating in this moment of crisis. As we look ahead, we must be willing to pursue change through new methods and fresh thinking, committed to our same values and principles, but not bound by the same playbook. Honestly, I feel like I'm getting word salad brain, because just as Pete Kamala, vague flattery mixed with vague blame and even vaguer promises of fresh thinking. She admits her institutions have failed, which is true, but conveniently leaves out that she's been embedded in those same institutions her entire career. This moment of crisis, quote unquote, she references, it didn't just materialize. It's the direct result of policies she supported, prosecutors she's praised, and a party she's helped run straight into the ground. And as for not bound by the same playbook, let's be real, okay? That playbook is identity politics. That playbook is deflecting accountability. That playbook is campaigning on feelings instead of outcomes, okay? She helped write this. And since we're on the topic of Kamala writing, let's go back to her paragraphs that feel like they're never gonna end. Anyway, she continues saying, for now, my leadership in public service will not be in elected office. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation who will fight fearlessly and sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plans. I don't know a single Democrat who would actually want a Kamala Harris endorsement. That's how bad things are, okay? She's going back to doing what she does best, basically disappearing and drinking a ton, because we all know what she does. And if by fighting fearlessly she means running from hard interviews, cackling when asked real questions, and avoiding policy details like the plague, then yes, she'll feel right at home. Notice how she still hints at plans down the line because, like every other career politician, she's allergic to walking away without leaving the door cracked open so she can continue suckling on the taxpayer teat. Anyway, she continues saying, in the United States of America, power must lie with the people, and we, the people, must use our power to fight for freedom, opportunity, fairness, and the dignity of all. I will remain in that fight. Now, here's a problem, folks. When Kamala says the people, she doesn't mean you. She means the activist class supporting Democrats. She means the consultants that help her brand herself, the donors who spent over $1 billion on her campaign, the NGOs that are grifting money out of the pockets of Californians with endless unsolvable problems, and the bureaucrats who shape the narrative behind the curtain. This kind of generic catch-all closing is designed to sound inspiring while committing to absolutely nothing, okay? She says she's staying in the fight, but for what exactly? More censorship? More chaos at the border? More double standards in law enforcement? The only thing consistent in Kamala Harris's career has been failure dressed up as moral conviction. And guess what? Voters know this. That's why she couldn't win a single primary and had to be DEI'd into the nomination. So the question now isn't just why Kamala is stepping aside, it's why figures like her keep getting installed into power positions in the first place. What does it say about our culture, our media, and our institutions as someone so visibly hollow and completely plastered all the time, could be propped up for so long into these positions of power. How many more careers are built not on results, but on rhetoric, on identity, on careful choreography disguised as conviction? This isn't just about one politician. It's about a system that rewards performance over principle and expects you to applaud the costume while ignoring the absolute collapse hiding behind it. So ask yourself, who benefits when failure is reframed as service, when accountability is replaced by applause lines, and when power is hoarded by people who speak endlessly of we the people, but never seem to mean you? You tell me what you think in the comments down below. Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.